How many years have you been running your studio? Maybe one, maybe a few, maybe a lot more than a few. What happens over time is that we have this vision for our studio at the beginning, and we have a very clear picture about what it's going to look like in our brains, right? And we chug along with that vision, and things are going great. Things are, we've got the right students in there, you're growing, and, then things start to kind of shift over a period of time. You may find that as a teacher, you want to niche down to specific audiences. You want to be able to serve different people. Maybe you find that you have a new set of skills and you want to be able to share that set of skills with a very specific niche. This is what we call branding, right? And you guys know that I like to talk about branding a lot on the broadcasts here. This week, we're going to be talking about how our studio brand changes over time and how we can recognize those brand changes and how we can make little shifts so that we can truly bring in the audience that we love and that we can make the biggest impact with our studios. So that's what we are talking about today, how to recognize when we need to make those shifts. And I'm going to share some, of my personal stories. I'm going to be talking about the brand shifting that I'm making in my studio in hopes that it will help you recognize when you need to start making tiny shifts, and it will inspire you to really hone in on your brand so that you can serve the people that you love most. Welcome to the broadcast to everybody. I'm so glad that you're here today. If you are watching live, be sure to say hello and give me a little wave. Tell me where you're coming from. Let me know how long you've been teaching and if you're considering some shifts that need to be made in your studio. If you're catching this later on and it's a few days from now, hey, just so you know, I jump into the comments all the time, so it's not too late to give us some takeaways and jump into the conversation. If you guys are new here, welcome. My name is Sarah Campbell. I am a business strategist and mindset coach for music studio owners and online education experts just like yourself. And we go live here every single Wednesday at 12 p.m. noon Eastern Standard Time, daylight time, whatever time it is right now. And this is where we talk about business and we talk about mindset and we talk about what we call awesometicity, which means learning how to show up as your awesome self in your business, really learning how to embrace what makes you unique as a teacher and how to bring those elements into your business in an authentic way so that we have this combination of awesome and authenticity. And that is what we call awesometicity. So welcome to the broadcast. Nice to see you guys this morning. I see. Good morning to Jill and Laura and Julie. Julie, yes, embrace the change. Exactly. Oh, yes. Robin, loving the subject today. You and I have been talking a lot about branding and how being able to bring in those ideal clients in your studio. Good morning, Christy, and hey there, Lisa. You've been teaching for 15 years. Crazy. I love it. Yep. Hey, time passes really quickly. The other day, I realized my studio has been open. Okay, in its current location, it's been open for 10 years, but I've been teaching a lot longer than that. I've been teaching about 17 years now, and time flies. So we're gonna get into the topic. How do we recognize when brand shifts are happening and what needs to happen? What does that mean? What does a brand shift mean? How can we be sure to identify those parts of our brand that need to be shifted and what happens when we identify them? So I'm going to be talking about this today. And those who are familiar with the broadcast, we know that we love to learn out loud here. So if you hear something inside of this broadcast that is valuable to you and maybe it's new, maybe it's old. Maybe it's something that you want to set an intention on. The way we do this here, we learn out loud together. We give us a hashtag takeaway, and you're going to list the takeaway in your comment. That way people, when they're coming back through and they're watching this video later on, they can see all these takeaways and they can grab those ideas instantly. So super helpful to other teachers as well. So if you hear something valuable, give us a hashtag takeaway. Speaking of valuable, if you have found these broadcasts valuable and you feel like they have brought something to your business, to your life, to your studio, please be sure to tell other teachers about them. So if you want to let them know about this now, that would be fantastic, and I would super appreciate it. All right, let's jump in. Hey, Dorla saying, hey, your help has been invaluable. Yay, I'm so glad to hear that. Dorla, your brand is amazing, and I love it. Jill says that she's from far southeast Texas near the coast in Louisiana. She's been teaching for 30 years. She started early. Yeah. Ooh, Jill, that's amazing. And Monica's tuning in from Minnesota. She's been teaching for 40 years. That's awesome. when we start to realize how long we've been teaching and we look back, we start to see, man, when we started was a very different place than where we are now. So I'm going to share some stories with you guys this week about how I am starting to consider what that rebrand looks like for my own studio, and what that's going to entail, the changes that are going to happen. So I'm going to go through those today. And before we get into that, I do want to remind everybody, we do have a Coach Sarahbot keyword set up today. It is masterclass. If you drop the word masterclass below, she's going to send you information about a masterclass that is coming up next week, Wednesday, during our regular broadcast time. I'm doing a full-blown masterclass where you guys will get crazy value, lots of takeaways, and things that you can implement in your studio. So if you want to get a hold of that, you're going to give me a masterclass below. The Coach Sarahbot will send you information about where you can reserve your seat. Just so you know, that masterclass has a limited replay, so it's only going to be available for 5 days and then it disappears. So if you want to get a hold of that, make sure to put masterclass below. We're going to be talking about how you can energize your studio's online presence in a way that you might never have done before. So if you want to get a hold of that, that's how you're going to get it. All right, excellent. Let's get into the good stuff, guys. Oh, masterclass, yeah. Ashley, it might not send it to you. Give it all one word, just so you know. I'm not sure that I set the bot up to do separate words, but yay, awesome. See lots of masterclasses coming down below. All right, let's do this. So, how your studio brand changes over time. Let me give you a little background about why I'm talking about this topic. So, the other day, I'm still teaching online in my studio, and so when I go into the studio, it's just me by myself and my computer. Well, there's other people on the other side, but it's given me a lot of time to kind of look around the studio and think, okay, what are the changes that I want to start seeing? And let me tell you what I saw last week. Actually, it's mostly been this week, right? So I'm inside of the studio and I'm looking around and I'm thinking about the students, my ideal clients and the people that I really want to serve in my studio. And I'm starting to look around my studio. I am a collector of things. I should preface by saying that. I'm a collector of things. I love what my good friend calls vignettes. So Jen Stevenson, she's not watching this because she's not on Facebook, but fantastic singer. She would say, okay, I love the vignettes that are around your studio. And that's little knickknacks that I've collected over time. And they're in little groupings on shelves and surfaces and things like that. My studio has a very homey vibe. And, you can kind of see the journey that I've made as a teacher there. So I started looking at my vignettes in the studio and I realized that a lot of the vignettes that I have there are very much geared towards younger piano students. And there was a period of time when that's who I served largely in my studio. It was primarily young beginner piano students. So I had a lot of resources that were for beginners, and I have them, placed strategically throughout the room because they're kind of cool looking. So what I started realizing, though, is that I have shifted my brand. I have shifted my ideal clients, and now I am starting to serve later beginners for piano, and I am really honing in. What I'm doing the most of is teaching teens and adult voice. So I'm looking around the studio and I'm realizing, these are really cool things that I've collected over time, but I'm starting to get this impression that visually my studio is not lining up with who I want to serve as a teacher. So that was where a little light bulb went off and I thought, it's time to think about rebranding and what that's going to look like in my studio. So that's the background to where the story goes. Have you guys ever felt that? Have you ever looked around after, your studio's been open for a number of years and you've collected a lot of stuff and, you've been worked hard to create this vibe in your studio, and you're looking around going, this vibe is cool, but it's not speaking to the people that I really want to serve. So how do we, think about making those shifts, making those brand shifts? Well, I've got some questions for you and we're going to go through them today. Julie says, even as you speak, I'm cleaning out my studio and office, doing that right now. Awesome. Taking some action. Christine says, got here late, distracted by shiny objects. Hey, that's okay. You're here. And Jill says, absolutely, right? We look around our studio and we notice over time that, our brand kind of builds itself. And so what we want to do is we want to curate that brand and we want to make sure that it aligns with who we want to serve. So I've got some questions that we'll look at today, and then I'm going to talk about what I intend to do with this rebrand in my studio. And I hope that you guys found this valuable as you start to consider, because we're starting to think about fall, right? We're starting to think about this next year. And a lot of us, because we serve younger students, like fall seems to be this like starting point, right? Because that's when the school year starts. So we're thinking about, what it's going to look like in the fall. And what we want to do is think, what little tiny shifts might I need to make in my physical space? What about on my website presence? What about on my social media presence? So we're looking at these shifts today. So we're going to start with some questions that will help you identify the shifts that you might want or need to make. So the first question is, who do you serve? All right, so we're thinking out loud and learning out loud here today, right, guys? Who do you serve in your studio? Who is it that you attract to your studio? What kind of students are you hoping to work with? So as I'm looking around in my studio, and I'm also considering, so when I say looking around on my studio, I'm not only considering my physical space, I'm considering my online space too, right? Last year I went through a rebrand with my coaching business, and that entailed starting a new Facebook page, the one that we're on right now, and it also considered going through logos, which is, I can point in the right direction, like my little logo there, right? Looking at that kind of stuff, and I'm actually in the process of hopefully finishing that rebrand this summer. There's going to be a new website and all kinds of cool stuff, right? But I want to look at this in my studio too. So we're thinking about the physical space that we have. We're thinking about our online presence, right? Our billboards, so to speak. How do people come to you, and how do they, when they see your online presence, does it align with the clients, the people who you want to serve? Okay, good. Jill says, I serve tween and teen, beginner to advanced. I love this age group. Excellent. So see how Jill has niched down to the person that she wants to serve. So for me, if I'm considering that I really want to be serving more teens and maybe later beginner piano students, then I need to look around my studio and think, okay, does this attract the vibe that I want? So as I'm considering this rebrand, part of that will be getting some new professional photos done inside of the studio. And I want to make some shifts with my vignettes and my decoration. And also, this is also prompted by the fact that I literally have to make some shifts with furniture and locations of things in order to reopen in person in the future. So it all came about because I was like, well, I need to move that grand piano. And we all know that moving a grand piano around means that you're going to move everything around in your studio. So that's how I started thinking about this stuff. And as I started doing that, I started realizing it's time to consider looking at these big questions. So looking at, who do you serve in your studio? Who is it that you really want to bring into that space? Who are your ideal clients? So we have to answer that question first when we're thinking about rebranding. And then we also want to think, what do you serve them, right? What kind of, like if they were going into a restaurant, is this a fancy meal? Is it like white linen tablecloths and, 4-course meals? Or is this more of a family style restaurant? Is this a fast food joint? There's no wrong answer with this, right? We have to think, what do we want to serve them and what does it look like? So for me, as I'm thinking about, okay, I know who I want to serve. I'm going to be kind of like bumping the age group up. That means maybe putting away some of the younger stuff. I'm going to drink here. Sorry, thirsty. Talking too much. All right. So it might mean, looking around and thinking, okay, what are the things that can then go away? And then what things can be brought out into the studio, right? And how do those align with what I'm serving my clients? So for instance, I'm thinking about and I'm talking a lot about physical branding inside of the studio, but this also translates over to what you do on website and social. That's the stuff that we're going to be talking about more inside of the masterclass next week. So if you want to get a hold of that, masterclass below, and Coach Sarah Bott will set you up. So I'm thinking about what I'm serving them, and it dawned on me that if I really want to be attracting and serving more vocalists, what I needed was to create more space in my studio where I have the tools that I want them to use readily accessible, right? So that means changing my vignettes around to maybe put away some of the younger piano student stuff and to bring out the tools that I might use with a vocalist, whether that's those expansion balls. I don't know what those are called. I never remember them. I'll think about it in a second. Hoberman spheres. There you go, Hoberman spheres. Or it could be exercise bands. It might be some yoga blocks and all kinds of other little physical things that I can do with them. So I want to create a space inside of my studio where all of that can live in a very easy to access place, right? And as I'm trying to figure out how do I socially distance inside of my studio, one of the things I'm thinking of is, okay, well, I need to make that stuff more accessible to them and move it away from where I was sitting, right? So that's all part of that rebrand and starting to think about the physical space. And then looking at that, how is that going to be reflected on my website and in my social media, right? So I'm thinking about who I serve and how do I serve them? Or what do I serve them or how do I serve them? Either way, right? I see, I see some really great answers here. Okay, Kim is saying like students 6 and up from beginning to advanced, but I'm thinking about not teaching vocals anymore. There's another, okay, great. So Kim, that's giving you great information. That mean like niching down. It might mean doing some social media changes and some website changes. Julie says that she's serving elementary age kids, preteens and teens, and a handful of amazing adults. So you're seeing that you're starting to niche down and maybe like the adults aren't a part of that process anymore, right? Or if they are, it's not who you're generally advertising to. So you can release that and focus on your early, like your elementary kids and your tweens. Kim says that she wants the family style restaurant feel, right? Okay, so it's friendly, it's homey, they're big meals, they're nutritious, and you're not going to spend forever getting your food, right? Because it's not a 5-course meal. So thinking about all of those things. Julie says home cooking that you can prepare yourself when you get back to your place. Ooh, that's kind of fun. I like that. So learning the recipes. Okay. I like that analogy. Leslie said, I was just thinking about this. I have adults, but they travel a lot and I lose income and give them special circumstances, right? So it's time to think about what are those little rebrands. Hey there, June. Nice to see you, my friend. Good to see you. So when we ask ourselves those questions, who do you serve and what do you serve them? We start getting a little bit clearer on what that brand might look like. And then that allows us to ask the next question, right? Oh, you weren't, point being that Leslie says, point being that I really shouldn't look at them as the ideal student and make those shifts. Yeah, we're always going to have outliers inside of the studio. Not always, but oftentimes when we're filling the rosters, you might have some outliers. So you might have somebody who's not in your ideal client range, but they still make a fantastic client. Stephanie says, my studio looks very fancy, but my personal style is very organic. Right? Then it's things to consider, right? Oh, this reminded me, what is it? In the Speakeasy Cooperative, somebody was talking about doing some rearranging. I think it was Megan T. And she was looking at the painting that she had over the fireplace next to her piano and thinking okay, what kind of vibe do I want to create in this space? And she's decided that she needed a different vibe because that painting wasn't really matching up with that. Why is this important? Okay, why is this important? Here's why. We want the way that our physical space looks to reflect our brand. And that doesn't mean that you have to spend a ton of money on buying new things. No, it might just mean rearranging, putting away things that no longer serve your ideal clients and really honing in on the things that do. So that's what I'm doing in my space. So I'm thinking about how I'm going to rearrange the furniture, but I'm also thinking about how can I make this a very functional space for the people that I'm serving. And, I think that it came up because I'm in this space alone right now, right? So I have a lot of time to consider moving things around. And also we know that if you're still in the online teaching space like I am, your students are only seeing this much of your studio, right? And there's all this other stuff in the background. So this is the perfect opportunity for me to kind of blow things up and figure out what I want it to look like. My studio's kind of a wreck right now. There are games all over the floor because I'm sorting out the ones that I no longer need. And my shelves are kind of looking really weird because I'm taking things off, I'm rearranging stuff, and I'm thinking about what it wants to look like, right? Yes, you went to IKEA yesterday. It was all about storage, storage, storage. Whoops, there we go. That's the one that I wanted to bring up. There you go. Christine says, I just completely rearranged the space in my studio for online lessons and I really like it better. I think we're in a very unique space right now where we have the mental space. Okay, maybe we don't have the mental space, but we have the physical space because we don't have people inside of our studios, a lot of us, and that's giving us a chance to think about what we want it to look like, right? Okay, Leslie, and this is something you and I were just talking about yesterday. Sometimes you don't want to put you out there, but she's found that the more authentic she is with her students and family, and the more she reflects her personality in studio, the better she connects, and it makes this better studio family, and they see you more as a real person. And that's a really powerful shift because then we can create this like really strong sense of community inside of our studio. When we learn to show up authentically inside of our own business, it's like putting on the most comfortable pair of shoes that you've ever worn, right? And so that's what I'm doing now. I'm thinking about that shift and how it's reflected inside of my studio. And after I do that, after I make those shifts inside of the studio, I'm also replacing the ceiling tiles in my studio, which is going to make me extremely happy because my studio ceiling is a mess. And it's got all these like weird colors on it and stains from like, they're being, they're just old. It's in an old building. So I'm going to replace the ceiling. After all of this is done, right? After that physical space is figured out, then I'm going to dive into what does that rebrand look like inside of my social media? What does that rebrand look like on my website as I consider some of those changes? And how is that going to show up when I get some new brand photos done? Right? So it's all about starting with, if we bring it back, we do a speedy recap, as my friend Nancy would say. We do a speedy recap. It's all about looking at these two questions, right? Who do you serve? What do you serve them? And then thinking about how is that reflected inside your studio? It can be the physical space. It can be your online presence. And really looking at like how is there an alignment here? Are these things coming together? Are they working together properly? Or is there this disconnect where things just don't seem to be matching up correctly? Yeah. Okay. Stephanie says, #takeaway, rearrange my mental and social media furniture. Oh, I like the way you put that. That's kind of fun. Okay, Leslie, authenticity and personality on the front end and business in the back end. You're so funny. All right, so these are fantastic takeaways, guys. We're going to be talking more about, rebranding and thinking about what this looks like. And, I want to pause for a second and say, rebranding does not have to be outrageously complicated. Brand, and also to say that when we rebrand, we do that knowing that brands make tiny shifts, right? Brands make tiny shifts over time. This doesn't mean that that you have to overhaul everything and then it's just going to be done. Because here's the beautiful thing about looking at the way we present our studios in person and online. They are living, breathing objects. They are constantly changing. And so it's on us to really look at them and make sure and to look at it, to examine it, and to guide that change so that it aligns with who you are as a teacher. So that we have that combination of you being able to show up as your awesome self and to do so in a way that feels super authentic. So that we have that authenticity inside of our businesses and it feels like we are putting on the most comfortable pair of shoes. Maybe they're fancy and comfortable. All right, Erin, the voice teacher's mullet, that made me laugh. That's so funny. All right. So guys, I hope that you found this valuable today. I look forward to kind of documenting the changes that I'm doing. I should have taken like a full-on picture of everything before I started moving things. I'm pretty sure that I have pictures somewhere. And I will be sharing that with you in the future and you'll be able to see what's going on. Next week, we are doing a master class. It is about energizing your online presence in your studio. So If you've ever been wondering how to like really hone in on your Facebook page, on your Instagram, on your like what does the website need to have, all that kind of stuff, we are going to be talking about the stuff inside of the masterclass, and it is going to be a limited time replay, so you definitely want to get a hold of that. If you give me a masterclass, then the Coach Sarah bot will send you a message, and she's going to tell you how you can grab your seat. That replay is going to be available for 5 days, and then it disappears. So I hope you join me for that, guys. If you found today valuable, please give me some thumbs up and some hearts and let me know, give me some takeaways and let me know what you found valuable inside of this broadcast. And if you have a teacher friend who you think could benefit from this, please invite them to join us. Let them know about these weekly broadcasts where we talk about business and mindset, and invite them into the conversation, because the more the merrier. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Ooh, all the little hearts and thumbs up. Yay! Awesome stuff. See a lot of masterclasses going below. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. We will be here next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, and we will be here to talk about business strategies, mindset, about how you can show up with authenticity inside of your studio. So until next week, stay creative and stay you, because there's only one person like you, and you're pretty dang amazing. All right, guys, we will see you next week on Wednesday. Bye.